Hey folks, Roland Martin here, and welcome to my YouTube channel. You know, a lot of people ask me, how do I approach a cold front? Well, here I am in Central Florida right now, and it's supposedly, according to the weather forecast on my iPhone, there's supposed to be the coldest night of the year tonight. Well, we had a couple other cold nights last night and the night before, and we had different kinds of weather than we have right now, and we had excellent fishing. But the water temperature dropped a couple more degrees, and there's a whole lot of things that I do. So here's my recommendations on how I fish cold fronts in Florida. Now, Florida is different than any other state. When the water temperature here in Florida drops, say, below 60 degrees, and look at this little thing here. This is my little deal for telling thermometer readings. I look at the ground right now. Look, it's 51 degrees on the ground right now. 51 degrees. So it means it's cold right now. When it's below, when the water temperature in Florida is in 51 degrees, hey, it's a really tough bite. That is super tough. There's a few things that work, and I'm going to tell you a few lures that work, a few shiner techniques that work, but there's some difficult situations because we have not only the cold weather, but we have the wind to consider and the sun to consider. So let's talk about how Roland Martin approaches a cold front in Florida. Well, okay, the first thing, let's go to the truck real quick. I just want to show you something. Let's go to the truck. We're scheduled for some cold weather. Here's my frog togs. You might ask, well, what's the frog togs about? It's supposed to be sunny and bright tomorrow. It'll be 34 degrees or 32 degrees in the morning. Frog togs are the best way to keep warm. That wind will cut through you, and I wear insulated underwear. I have looked at all these hooded sweatshirts. Here's a big my power pole hooded sweatshirt. Here's some more some other rain gear, and I wear long insulated underwear as well. And I wear rubber boots. I mean, I really dress well. So that's the first thing. I have this big Yamamoto jacket on. It's real warm. So that's the first consideration in a cold front, is to dress properly. And I recommend rain gear. Okay, folks, let's check the weather for tomorrow. It's so important to have an iPhone with good weather forecast. Let me hit the weather app real quick and just check for tomorrow's weather. And it says right now, freeze warning. Now, Florida has a freeze warning. That's bad news, but it's not bad if you know where to fish. You can actually catch fish. So tonight, right now, it's 57. It's going to 39, 35. Overnight, it'll be like freezing in the morning. Okay? Okay. Now let's look at another consideration. Let's look at this weather here. Monday, it's going to be 34, 33 degrees at 7 o'clock. It's pretty much freezing. Maybe 32. Okay, it's 2% chance of rain. It's a 3-mile-an-hour wind. Okay, wind is down. Okay. Then at 8 o'clock, what happens is a bright blue-bird sky. If you look at the sky right now, there's not a cloud in the sky. This is just after a cold front. The worst part of a cold front is the aftermath of the cold front. The best part of the cold front is when it's cloudy and windy. It's actually a better day. 2 days ago, it was cloudy and windy. It blew 40 miles an hour. We had one of the best days of the year. We had just a fantastic day. Yesterday, it blew 25 miles an hour. We had another fantastic day because it was still cloudy and windy. But tomorrow, it's a whole different ball game. Still, the cold front is probably the coldest night. But what's going to happen tomorrow is it's going to be bluebird sky. Now, bluebird sky, bass have non-eyelided eyes. They can't close their eyes. I mean, they have to seek cover. They either go deep in the water or they go under heavy cover. It's the only chance they have. They avoid the sunny area. They just don't like sun, okay? Keep that in mind. Non-eyelided eyes, they either go in deep water or they go under heavy cover, okay? So now, all through the day, we don't have much wind tomorrow. It's starting to rise. The temperature's going up 63, 65. Okay, it's finally, tomorrow afternoon, it's gonna be fine, nice weather. It'll be always up to 65. But in the morning, we have an issue. We have a real issue, okay? Let's talk about that issue. Okay, I have my thermometer. I can take and find the warmest water in the lake. That's the first consideration. I'm gonna try to find I think I don't want to find water less than 50. I think I can find water in the 50s for sure. Anytime it's less than 60, it's a little bit of a tough bite for artificials. When it's below 50, it's a horrible bite. It's a horrible bite less than 50 degrees. You just can't hardly catch a single thing in Florida. If it's 49 degrees water temperature, it just wipes them out. So we have to try to find with this good thermometer some warmer water. Okay, that's the first thing. I'm gonna look at the wind direction. I'm gonna try to look at the lake, and okay, if there's a prevailing wind, say from the northwest, it's been blowing from the northwest. That means that northwest side of the lake will be the warmest because all the cold water has been pushed to the southeast. Okay, so I'm going to kind of look to the northwest side of the lake. It's the worst topwater scenario you could ever have. You could never have a worse scenario. Okay, what about a chatterbait? Well, a chatterbait's good, and particularly in the wind. It's like a spinnerbait's good in the wind, and when the water temperature's in the high 50s, it's not a bad choice. However, unless you fish the chatterbait deep, you're going to have an issue with those shallow fish. The shallow fish are kind of going to go away. So what you have to start thinking about are the deeper fish. You can fish the deeper hydrilla holes. You can find the shady side of say hydrilla banks, you know, where the sun. Just keep thinking they have non-eyelided eyes. They look at for either shade, heavy cover. They're going to get underneath something. So I'm going to fish shiners in the deep channels, and I'm going to fish shiners in the open pits. There's like 15 big open pits here at Fellsmere, at the Headwaters Lake, and so that's my combination. I know I'm going to catch some big fish on shiners, but what about lures? Okay, you could take a chatterbait and drop it down deep and get a heavy one, maybe a 3/4 ounce, and get it down to that 8 or 10 foot water, some on the edges of some of the deeper channels, and catch some fish. You can also take a Carolina rig, like with a Cinco, just say a 5-inch Cinco on a Carolina rig, and work it slow in the deeper water. Again, that's a good way to go. Again, shallow fish are not going to be an issue. That's going to be the worst combination. So don't think about topwater, don't think about lightweight plastic worms, don't think about even a shallow crankbait. It's just not going to be a good day for that tomorrow. It's going to be a sunny, bright, cold day, cold water temperatures. Fish are going to be deep, and they're going to be in the shade, and they're going to be underneath heavy cover. Okay, I'll tell you another really good combination. Let me just show you something. Okay, folks, I'm up in my bass boat. I'm getting some tackle. I'm going to open my rod box up, and I'll take up the two lures that I think, the two basic combinations that I think might work tomorrow. That would be still a good deal. The first, we talked about a chatterbait. Let's talk about the heavier 1/2 ounce to 3/4 ounce chatterbaits. That's a big choice. I throw them on, say 14-pound fluorocarbon and work those deep areas. Okay, that's one big combination. Here's the other big combination: either a jig or a crawworm. Now here's a jig with the Yamamoto trailer on the back, and it's a 1/2 ounce jig, and I'm going to throw it on the edge of hyacinths in the heavy cover in the shaded areas. See, here in Headwaters and a lot of lakes, there's what we call the hard line, and it's where all sorts of debris has been blown up, and there's weeds floating on the water, and hyacinths and mats of stuff that are just weedy things, but it's deep underneath. It's 5 or 6 feet deep underneath the mats. So with that shade cover, and you find a warmer water, you can drop jigs and crawworms down with a flip and bite, and you'll catch an occasionally big bass. Now in the wintertime, you don't catch a lot of fish, but if you take a jig or a crawworm or something like that with, say, even up to a 2 ounce weight, and just flip heavy mats and heavy cover the entire day, you're going to catch a big fish. I mean, that's just the way it is. I almost promised, I didn't quite ever promise an 8-pound bass, but that's the kind of bass you can expect to catch. Now, let's say, what's the best way to catch a whole lot of fish? Hey, watch this for a second. Let me just show you something. Okay, let me walk you over here. Let me show you my pride and joy. Well, one pride and joy is this new truck I got. That's a kind of cool deal. And here's my other pride and joy. This is my shiner tank, and look what I have in here. I have the most perfect golden shiners you'll ever see in your life. Now that yellow water is this chemical I put in there. I put a, it's called aquaflavin. I also add salt to the water. I add like 10 pounds of salt to this for a couple hundred gallons of water. And I have chlorine remover as well. Now these are cured out shiners. The difference is, I've caught these a couple days ago, and these shiners have been cured out. That means that the slime coats come back. I've got them conditioned. Look how healthy they are. They're just in perfect shape. Lately, the last 25 or 30 trips have been with these beautiful golden shiners like this. Now that is such a big deal. I'll anchor tomorrow. I have a spot lock on the boat that I'll be using tomorrow, and I'm going to get over these corners of these deep places where the wind and the current's kind of pushing into these corners, and there's some little channels and stuff coming out of some of these pits. There's like 15 real deep water spots that I'm going to fish tomorrow, and I'm going to take a free line. I'm going to actually take a light wire hook and put it in a kind of a small shiner and drop it way down deep into the deep water, and boom, we catch a lot of big fish just down deep in the 20-foot water and right at the bottom of the deep water places. And so that's one way. The other way, we take a float with about 5 feet of line, and I have that all set up, and we fish the edges of the hydrilla that grows all around these deep areas that I'm talking about. So anyway, tomorrow I'm gonna look for the warmer water. I'm gonna use my cured out golden shiners, and then about midday, when I can, I have all this chum. You notice in the boat, I'm gonna take this with me tomorrow. In the boat, I have hog food over there. I have my cast nets. I have all my stuff, and I'll go and chum and catch my own shiners. I catch like 10 or 12 dozen a day. And that's the kind of thing I do. I use a lot of bait, and the best bait on the lake, and the reason why I've been so successful this in the wintertime, particularly these cold fronts, I have the most and the best bait ever. I don't think there's a person in this world that has better bait than I do. And I take care of it, and I'm real careful with it, and I just catch a lot of fish because I have the friskiest, most active bait ever. But anyway, there are other ways to catch fish, and the cold fronts are certainly a challenge. But for me, cold fronts in the wintertime are a bass bonanza, and so I can really make it work. So that's the way I approach a cold front. That's the way that here in Florida is just the most successful way ever. Hey, thanks for watching, and I'm going to do a YouTube tomorrow. I'm going to show you the results of what I'm planning. Okay, we'll see you again later. Hey, hit that subscribe button. We'll talk to you later. Thank you.